Good afternoon. Good to see everybody.
Hi, Travis.
Thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for your coverage all fall. Tell the stories of this team, this program, and this build. It means a lot to us. And just sitting back and listening to Jalen and Sam, it shouldn't be any kind of surprise that this is where KU's at, because those are the kinds of young men, or not as young men, that we have in this program. And they're two of what would be dozens and dozens of examples of why we've been able to take this jump and take this step forward. And I don't want to lose sight of that at all, that it's about the guys that have sacrificed and these different storylines of what they've been through, and lack of continuity and maybe lack of identity and all those things. But from the time Lance and the staff got here and bought in, and it wasn't an easy one to buy into. You all have seen that and felt that, and been at practices and seen the journey that this program's been on under this staff. And that was, to me, the highlight of being in that room and just seeing certainly joy and excitement, but really I think a sense of achievement, and certainly a sense of fulfillment for a group that's been through so much. And to have a chance now to line up against a great SEC opponent in an incredible bowl, right? We're thinking Liberty Bowl, one of the great brands, one of the longest standing bowls in the country. They do a heck of a job down there. Memphis embraces the bowl game every single year, and so it's just a privilege and an opportunity that we couldn't be more excited about. And then last thing I'd say before taking questions is you all can appreciate this is a really important step in the progression of building this program, right? It's justification in a lot of ways that the way in which Lance and the staff are building is exactly, precisely the way in which we have to build at KU to have some chance to have sustained success. I think it's validation that the support of the university, the athletic department, our fan base, our donors is achieving some of the things that we've all hoped for and believed were out there in front of us. And so having that validation of taking that really tangible step forward and being in position to compete in December, pretty important step in that progression. So excited about that, and couldn't feel better for the group of guys again that have sacrificed and worked so hard to be put in this position. And no question they're going to make the most of this month, make the most of these practices, the team building and the bonding element. I think that's really important during bowl season. And then they're going to go represent University of Kansas real proudly down there in Memphis on December 28th.
You mentioned no surprise when you know these guys, but step back and look at year two of a new coach at a program like this. What goes through your mind when you think that's where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, look, a degree of surreal, right? I mean, there's a degree of going, we all have to have an optimistic lens, I think, and certainly when you're working in this space, you've got to seek optimism, you've got to project optimism, and think about and talk about where things can go and where they can evolve to. But I'd be lying, just like I think anybody would, if we were penciling in playing in December in year 1 or 1.5, depending on if you count years. Was it year 0? Was it year half last year? And so I think that's absolutely the case. And one of the things, again, I'm so excited about what it means for the locker room, for recruiting, for staff, for continuity, for the department, for the university. But I'm really excited about a continual reawakening of this fan base and this alumni base. And they've demonstrated that this fall. They've been fantastic, right? Having the sellouts and having a really strong attendance all year long. But that's got to continue to be part of this. We really, absolutely, unequivocally know we can't take those next steps if our fan base and our supporters don't come along with us and maybe even get out in front of us, so to speak. And I think that's a chance for Jayhawks really across the country this month and on December 28th to make a statement across the country, to make a statement to this program, and that's going to position us in the years ahead. So excited to challenge, frankly, our fan base and our supporters to be there in full force in Memphis. We need to paint that city crimson and blue. I mean, we really do. We need to make sure that our program feels that, the young men in the locker room feel that, and I don't have any question that our fans will step up in a big way to support this team and this program.
Did you know the Liberty Bowl was high on the Jayhawks all year? There were rumors they really liked you guys for a long time.
They were on us, Gary, in August at Dallas Big 12 football. They were talking to us, hey, when you guys hit 6, and it could be this year, right? We all agreed it could be this year. We want Kansas at the Liberty Bowl. They were in Lawrence multiple times this fall. They stood by us over those handful of weeks where we lost a few games, of course, and then of course just over these last couple days, they had opportunities to select other great Big 12 programs, and they took the Jayhawks. So I think it's a really strong statement, their belief in this program.
You mentioned reawakening the support outside of what you saw in the stadium. How has that, I guess, manifested itself to you since the season began?
Variety of ways, and it's all the ways that really have to happen right now. You think about the facility effort, the fundraising that's going to be such a critical part of it. We won't achieve the ambition or the vision just outside these doors here without incredible philanthropic support. We're feeling that energy. We're excited about where that's tracking. Name, image, and likeness. You think about, right, a contract that helps support this program and retain Lance and the critical pieces of support and assistance with him. But NIL is now really a critical retention thing. We could talk about recruiting, and we know there's an implication in recruiting, but NIL is really important as you think about retaining exceptional young men who honestly have lots of opportunities to go play at other places. So we're feeling that support, seeing that tangibly with NIL. We're certainly seeing it with the fundraising momentum and energy, and we want to see it, need to see it on December 28th in the stands and all over the city of Memphis. And we need to take a big step going into the 23 season with season ticket sales and with attendance throughout the year. And so lots of stuff out in front of us that we've got to achieve on that front.
You mentioned the contract with Lance there. How big does that feel to have that done at this point in time, just considering the landscape of college sports?
Yeah, it was big throughout the fall, of course. It was important at every moment that we were trying to get to that outcome, and then it gets done, and obviously you're excited. There's a sense of relief in a lot of ways, and then you start to see the coaching carousel occur. So being able to kind of just sit back and observe the madness that occurs during that coaching carousel, and knowing that here at KU we have exactly who we want and need at the top and at the helm of this program, and we've got him and his staff and the key pieces around it here for a long time. Feels really good, for sure.
Did you feel like you were going up against Nebraska? In any respect, there were some reports that there was interest between the two.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been Nebraska, could have been any of the openings that were out there, because I said it before the season, if people don't know that this coach and this staff is the real deal, they're going to soon find out. And there's a lot of great coaches out there. I don't think there's a better program build and program building coach and coaching staff in the country than Lance Leipold in this group. And so there's a lot of programs, and there was a lot of openings that needed a program builder. And whether it was that one that you mentioned or any of the others that were out there, we knew we needed to make a statement to ourselves in a lot of ways, right? That's, to me, the contract is not just the beneficiary being Lance and the football staff or the support staff. It's an entire institution benefiting from what you learn along that journey. You learn about what it takes to sustain a successful football program, continue to build, of course, and then have a chance to sustain it. And I think that's one of the things as I reflect back on the contract process that I'm so thankful for, is we had an entire institution, really. We had our chancellor highly engaged, right? We had a chancellor committed to exactly the outcome that I was committed to, and a fan base and a donor base also that kind of were, in some part along that journey as well, understand it was critical. And so I think KU's, broadly speaking, transformed this fall around this football program and this build.
How'd you manage that time? You talked about the sense of relief of getting it done. Do you keep your distance? Is it full court press? Do you check in at strategic points? Do you let him be? How did How'd you manage that?
Yeah,
I'm sure
probably
it was on the fly, right?
probably a little bit of all of those things, Matt. I think there was a couple full court presses. I think there was definitely times where you knew it just was going to be the right thing to do was just to step back. You know, what you don't want is distraction in season,
Right.
and from the Herculean task of being a coach in the throes of the year. So we're both very mindful and cognizant of that, and I think did our very best to ensure that there was not any kind of distractions in that sense. So you just kind of pick and chose at the right moments of, you know, let's make sure we continue to have really good, honest conversations and owning some of the gaps, not just contractually, certainly not just in talking about compensation, but the gaps in what's it take to get this program to take those steps forward, and then again have that chance to really sustain at a high level of competitiveness. And so, you know, there's no blueprint for that, but I also knew that we weren't going to sit back and kind of hope or wait till the perfect moment to talk about committing to the staff and locking this thing down. We were gonna go at the time that felt right.
And speaking of the commitment and locking it down, the part of the contract that says top half of the Big 12 when you have to reevaluate that.
Yeah.
From the commitment standpoint, what does that say? I mean, how important was that, I guess, for you guys to include that, and what do you think that means?
I think it ends up being, when you read it and maybe for the first time process it, you think, wow, that's unique, or maybe that's profound or significant, or whatever the word might be that you use to describe it. I think it's really natural and it really fits. So I guess the example I would use is, you know, we don't aspire to win some games in the Big 12. We don't aspire to be 6-6, right? We aspire to win a Big 12 championship. And I think that's absolutely in the cards for this program and can be part of this journey, can be one of those outcomes along the way. If that's in fact the case, then are you supporting and resourcing the program in that manner? And so just by indicating top half of the league, that should be the minimum of what you're doing if that's what your aspirations and goals are for your football program.
It also said you have to remain his boss. Or does that make you feel like you're a good team?
Well, I think it just what it says is that the alignment aspect is real. We get along awfully well, probably as well as an AD and football coach can this day and age. But it really is more about the alignment of just saying, okay, we started the journey in a lot of ways at the same time and together, and thus far, how we've worked together. I'm not just referring to me. I'm talking about an administration and a university, really, with the chancellor at the helm. How we've worked together thus far with Lance and the staff has worked. If that's working, then there's that theme of continuity again, and I guess it is sort of a reflection on that.
And he also asked for stadium renovations to progress. Is that important in the contract?
Yeah, I love it. That's a win-win for everybody. That's good for me as the athletic director. It's good for our university, and obviously it's good for Lance and the program to have that written. It's just, you know, those were not ambitious dates or moments or progressions. Those were what we all knew were going to occur in 2023. If you know that, you believe it, you've got the right alignment, put it in the contract.
Hey Travis, it's been 14 years since the bowl game. I remember there were times when Mangino was here, people just started leaving those holidays open, right? Is it time that Kansas fans start leaving those things open and be ready?
Sure. I think so, John. I think it's time. This isn't an anomaly. This isn't going to be this wonderful story in 2022. Now we've got work to do. We obviously all know that. You know, just roll the ball out there and it just continues down this path. But I think, again, this is a catalyst to some of the critical work that has to be done to make sure this is a regular thing, to make sure Jayhawks across the country are holding that swath of time or allowing for flexibility in their travel plans, because that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be like March. Plan on being along that journey like you have been with men's basketball for as long as anybody can remember. You're going to need to be along for this journey with this football program in the Decembers and Januaries ahead.
With both teams 6-6, some fans were wondering about maybe playing Mizzou.
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Did you have any reaction to maybe playing them?
Here's the honest answer. We really feel so excited about being in a bowl game. I mean, listen, we know where we've been. We're not about to get on a high horse about playing in this bowl game or playing against this kind of opponent. We were excited to play at whatever bowl game desired us and against whatever opponent. That would have been great too. That would have been great too. But we've got an awesome opponent in Arkansas from that same conference, and it's a great challenge and a great opportunity. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.